Hey guys, it's your course director, Emily Ray here. Just wanted to give you some positive, productive feedback on these developing portfolio websites. The notes that I'm going to share here are designed to help you evolve this site to its next best iteration. Theoretically, your portfolio site will never be done. You're constantly developing new skills and getting involved in new and different projects, and you'll have new deliverables and assets to show off. So your portfolio is essentially a snapshot of where you are at any given time. So I want you to be very comfortable with revisiting this every single time you have something new and different to add. This again should be a curated experience, meaning that it's not everything you've ever done, but you are being selective in what you are showcasing so that it gives people a good idea of what your capabilities are, but also the kinds of projects that you want to take on. So we're going to start here with Trenton, and we have a nice sort of calm aesthetic with the grays and the blues. You give a little bit of background here on the home page. Noticeably absent from the header area, though, is any sort of branding information. So I'm curious as to what happens, let's say, when I go to My Work. I'm going to click it, and when that happens, you can see that there's no branding left on the page, because when it was here, in this area, identifying the site as yours, it was down here more in the body of the site, not so much in the header, which remains stable from page to page, or the footer, which remains stable from page to page. So when I go to My Work, what's happening here is that it's almost as if the site has no identity. So you want to make sure that you move some sort of identifying logo and or name up here into the header so it's viewable on every page. But jump back to the home page really quick and comment on a few things. These are links to the same places, and so in that way it's a bit redundant to have a navigational structure and a navigational structure here. I understand that you are kind of leveraging the content areas that were provided for you in this template, but I encourage you to rethink the possibility of this space. Scrolling down, you have an area where you can share your contact information. I might spread this stuff out so that your email address doesn't wrap here. And it seems like we do have your social media accounts to where I can connect with you in other places online. I'm just going to test one here really quick for your Instagram, and I wanted to make sure that it opens in a new browser window, which it does. So if someone's on your site, you don't want to basically send them elsewhere. So anytime you're sending someone away from your site, make sure that that link opens in a new browser window. I'm going to go next to Work. Here I see a couple of things. As I hover over them, they say My Photos and Gamma Labs. But what if I didn't hover over this ever? I wouldn't get that information. You're relying on me to do something instead of making it easy for me to know that this is Your Photos and Gamma Labs. I'm going to encourage you to think about adding some contextual information here to help me understand what it is that I'm looking at without taking the risk that I am going to hover over this area here. I'm going to click it, and it's going to open up to some cool looking photography. I like what I'm seeing here, but I'd like to know more about, like, what is your inspiration? Why is all this stuff just in black and white? I see these images. Can I get a title, a description? Is this all from a single shoot? Is it from a show that you did? It looks curated and styled in a way, but I don't have any additional information to help understand any of that, right? So I'm going to go to Gamma Labs now, and so here I see a whole bunch of images, but I don't have any way to make sense of this, right? Like G Fuel, I don't know what that is. Is that a logo you designed? Is this a company that you work for? There's no information here to really help me understand that. One thing I do also want to show you is that when I hover over this, some of the links are visible at times and some of them aren't. And the word My Work just sort of disappears. So you want to be thinking about the colors that you're using for your navigational options and making sure that there's enough contrast to actually see the options. Under skills here, we basically can see that you're pretty proficient in each one of these Adobe Creative tools. I like that you give a little synopsis and background here. A lot of people will just list the tool, but that doesn't really give people a terrific amount of knowledge about the depth of your skill set. So knowing that you've been using Photoshop since you were 13 tells me a thing or two, so I appreciate what you did there. Resume. I'm clicking on that, and so what it looks like here is that it's pulling up a version of your resume that is Let's see here. I'm trying to see. This looks like it is a screenshot or a picture of a Word document that you created. And in this way, you basically created a picture of words. And a picture of words cannot be indexed by Google. So I can't copy and paste this information. And if I can't do that, then Google can't search those words. So this is a usability issue. You never want to take a picture of words and post it. All of this information can be laid out in a very similar way just by using Wix and the formatting tools that they have there. So this definitely needs to be reworked moving forward. And then last but not least, under links, right? So I don't know that I would say, I don't know that I would call this links. I might say connect instead, because links, I don't know what I was going to expect. Maybe like resources to other websites that you're into, but not necessarily like a connect page. So I think there's something that could be used as a title there that would be a bit more intuitive. Overall, this is a really great start, and I'm excited to continue to work with you on this moving forward in the portfolio program. So next up we have Rico's site. One thing to note right off the bat is as I start to scroll on this page here, the branding information totally goes away. And if I go to the next page, or this is a flowing page, as we can see here, sort of like a one-page layout going down, we lose the branding information. More important than your social media links is identifying this site as yours, Rico. So same feedback as I gave Trenton in the last review is you want to make sure you've got that branding information right up there front and center. This is your high value real estate area, meaning it's the only place on this site that people will immediately see when they come to your URL. And for that reason, leveraging a stock image from a Wix template probably isn't the best use of this space. You're a performer, a writer into social media. I would like to see this about me information moved up into this space here. It is more important. The site is about you. This site is not about the city that we see here in the background. So I would encourage you to move this stuff on up. Scrolling down, get a little bit of your background, which is great. You talk about everything that you're into. I see that you're into theater, writing, social media, and blog. So when I hit about, it jumps down to there. When I hit this, it goes to a totally different PDF page, right? And when I hit this, it goes to your other resume page. Instead of taking people away from your site, I encourage you to find a way to lay this information out in the body of the page, meaning that the same way that you have text here, you want to go ahead and input that information from your resumes, because that's keyword rich content and can definitely help you be found by people who are looking for your particular skill set. You might also provide that PDF, but just put a link on here that says download PDF, because when I see a page appear in a navigational structure, I'm not thinking it's going to take me to a document. As I go to gallery, it's jumping down to this section here. I'm going to go ahead and click on one. And so here, Kerchak, Tarzan the Musical. Okay, is this you? Why are you sharing this here? I get that it is a character from the musical, but you don't do enough to identify, that this is you and the relevance here, right? Because you're highlighting a whole bunch of different things, not just your acting, right? Your writing, your social media, and all of that. So presumably what we're going to see here in this gallery is a collection of things from you. So maybe it shouldn't be called gallery, or maybe it should be called professional roles, or pieces that I've acted in, or plays that I've acted in. Something, again, a bit more intuitive there. I'm going to jump to blog, and it's taking me to a different page here that has a kind of a different visual aesthetic, and it looks like what's here is your schoolwork, which is cool. I think that students, it would behoove them to keep a record and a log of everything that you've done over time. It really shows growth and is a great way to show what you've been working on. But that being said, I'm not sure how your student work correlates with your professional acting and all of that. You really need to think how and if this information serves my goals and interests in these other areas. And so when we talk about portfolios being a curated experience, it just means you're being selective about what you're sharing there. I'm going to go next to contact me, and it's a simple form down here. We've got these places that I can connect with you on social media, which is great, but why should people get in touch? Can you give me a call to action? Why do you want people to contact you? I feel like there was a whole area that I skipped, and with each one of these things, I'm going to click it to see what happens. So here we have theater, resume highlights. So this is kind of what I was talking about before with, your acting resume. You've done a really nice job here to highlight a few of your performances and give us more information. A resume kind of keeps you, especially if it's on the dimensions of a page, kind of keeps you limited to what you can share. Web pages can go on forever and can link to other things and rich media. So there's really opportunity here for you to give much more dimension to your acting and your professional careers. I'm going to go back to home and then scroll to writing. So from here, we get a little bit more about you and then links to articles, which is great. Just one thing as I'm noticing, I'm really hopping around a lot. Here I just go down on the page. Here I go to a document. Here I go to a document. Here I go to the gallery, which might, need to be renamed. But what is really essential here in terms of a portfolio showcasing what you can do is this information in this area. And there's a good chance that someone might miss it, right? That they don't know that these are links that they can click to other pages. I would think of a way to include these more prominently in this main navigational structure here, because you don't want people to miss all of the good content that you've shared. Overall, this is a really wonderful and rich collection of things, Rico, and I look forward to continue to work with this in later portfolio classes. All right, keep going. Next up, we've got Alan Watkins' site. So very clean. Noticing that you're using Weebly, which has a very minimalist, modern aesthetic to their templates. It really allows your content to shine. They don't let you do much in terms of tweaking of the design or straying away from their templates, which generally gives a very clean look. So we've got your name and then just a little bit about you, that you're at Full Sail, and a chance to view your work. As I scroll down, we have a simple contact form. Let's work together, but on what, right? So you say that you're a creative individual, but I really don't know exactly what just yet, how or why we should be getting in touch. Can you give me more information here or up here, right? Because there's really just not a lot for me to go on at this point. If I only saw this page, which, for a lot of websites, it's the home page that gets hit and nothing else. So how can you take advantage of this high value real estate? It's clean. You've got, striking imagery, but what more can we do in terms of content here? I'm going to go to the About page. So as it loads in, just learning a little bit more about you. Anytime that you have paragraph text, all this needs to be left aligned, not center aligned as we see here. That's a readability issue in English when we read from left to right and our eyes wrap around to the next line. We need a consistent starting point so that we're not losing our place as our eyes move down along the information. So here we get some great images and, to really learn more about you and what your professional aims are. When I go to work, so here it's taking me to the projects that you want to showcase. So we've got a style guide and your Real Deal Taco site. So what I appreciate about what you've shared here is you give me not just a picture of what you created, but you give me, you identify it as a website, and then you go ahead and give somewhat of a description here, right? So this, you allow me sort of to experience it in full, which is great. It's beautifully designed, and love that I have this interactive issue window here to, see the full grandeur of what you created. With your Real Deal Tacos here, so it looks like it's a video, but I might not have known it because it looked a little bit like a screenshot, right? So what if I didn't press play there? Then it looks like maybe I just have a sketchy screenshot. What if you gave me a custom thumbnail here, and maybe the custom thumbnail is a better picture of the site that you created, and then you provide the link for me to experience it as a functional site in the same way that you give us the option, potentially to be able to do that here. I think when you create a website, that's you've created not just something visual, but something to be experienced, to be poked around and jumped around on, and so that would really give someone a more complete idea of your capabilities if you would give them that chance to see fully what you created. Under services, so you identify yourself as an individual here, but then you say what we offer. Who is we? Is there someone else? Is this a company? Do you have employees or subcontractors? If not, I think you need to just be consistent in the ways that you're referring to yourself and to your service offerings, right? So we've got brand audits and marketing research, other services, social media. Okay, so you offer quite a few things here. One thing to note though is that like you really go in depth with what brand audits and research is and what you get for that. I'd like for you to see, or I'd like to see you do that for each of these. Like, so for here, it appears as if you still have dummy text in that area. So certainly an opportunity to more fully detail this service offerings. Here it says Alan performs, so that's kind of talking about yourself in third person. Here you do it first person. I am. I'm not internationally known, right? So again, consistency is going to be important there. For resume, so what we see is a picture of words. Now I went into detail with other reviews on this video about why you don't want to do this, and it's because as a picture of words it becomes less readable. It looks a little bit fuzzier on the page, but also because search engines can't find, can't notice, can't recognize a collection of pixels in the shape of letters that form words and sentences as text that it can read. So in order to be found based upon the ways that your resume and the keywords match up with people looking for your services, this picture of words isn't going to do the trick. You can mimic very much the same design using the layout features of the website builder that you have. And then last but not least, we got the contact page that says let's start working together. This is sort of reiterating what we saw on the homepage, so the same feedback applies here. Overall, it's clean. You've got a lot of great starting points here, but some thoughtful attention to the spaces mentioned can help move this to its next best place. All right, next up we've got Rob Foster Smalls. So here we've got a nice large identifying logo up here, a picture of you presumably, and then a quote, but then nothing else within this window here. So all this available space and all this available space over here, so we just get your name, photo, and then somebody else's words. I'd really like it if this portion here that identifies you and who you are and what you want to do, where your background and your skills are, I want that to be above the fold, meaning above the area where I have to start to scroll. So going to portfolio next, we get kind of like this tagline here, which I like, but why is it only available on the portfolio page, right? So we get a little bit more of your philosophy. So scrolling down, what I see is what looks, kind of like a resume, but it's kind of like your experience, right? So you're working for Adidas, which is cool, and consulting on a few different projects. So need an example. Let's go ahead and select one here. All right, what am I looking at though? So I see something Adidas, but I don't understand it within the context of what it is that you're trying to show me. All this stuff is cool stuff, but I don't fully understand why it's relevant to you showing us here on your portfolio site, right? So if this is a story, how can you tell us the story, and don't leave it up to us to fill in the blanks, right? Tell me the story of what you did here, because I'm sure it's very compelling. Last but not least, let's go to info, and here see where you're working out of. It looks like you're in New York. We've got ways to connect with you on social media, except as I hover over them, I can see in the bottom right hand corner of the screen that these are still in fact linked to Wix locations. So definitely want to update that, because it's a huge disconnect when I think I'm going to Rob Foster Smalls account, but instead I'm landing on Wix. This is a great start, particularly because I know you have a cool body of work to choose from. I would really love for you to concentrate on telling me the story of being a project consultant on the Adidas gig, right? And if you need any help sort of conceptualizing that, please let me know. All right, last but not least, we've got Monica Lindsay Fernandez site. So she's a media communications specialist. The photo here leads us to believe that she's also into photography. So here I see a collection of what look like school assignments, right? So as I'm scrolling down, I see digital storytelling, telling a story, competitor research. It also kind of looks like a blog, right? And then a contact area here. So as a portfolio, I'm not quite sure how to understand this. As a teacher in the MCBS program, I understand that this is your student blog where you're sharing these projects. But as I click this and it takes me to a new page, I can see that you've detailed what's going on here, which is cool because it's kind of like a case, a case study in that you say what your role was, which is great, and give us more of that. But so in this way, you've kind of made it so that it's not a school project anymore; it's a portfolio piece, and so you can get rid of this kind of language, right? So week 3 project really only means something to you as a student and to me as a teacher, but to the world at large, more compelling in the title and what makes more sense is digital storytelling with mobile apps, right? Or maybe you just title this the name of the story itself. So definitely possibility there. Going back to the home page, when I hit blog, so here it brings up more of like a summary or an index page where I can check out some of your work. I understand this is a portfolio piece, but how does your content strategy lynda.com certificate fit in, or your competitor research? As a media communication specialist, I'm sure you wear many hats. But none of that is fully detailed here, so I don't have the context to understand the content that you're showing me. So certainly, a lot of work needs to be done here to kind of fill in the blanks to give me an idea of what kind of professional are you, or what kind of professional do you want to be, and can you showcase work that reflects the skills that you need to be successful in that industry. Again, you guys, the feedback provided here is to move your portfolio to its next best place. I'm going to see it again and again as part of the portfolio program, so I encourage you to make these changes now while they're fresh, and to be thinking about how you can move this site beyond what you have here. If you have any questions, you know how to reach me.